At the time of this video's release, the average US gas price is roughly $3.38. A year ago, it was $2.20. To understand why gas prices have risen and who's to blame, we first need to review supply and demand. In a perfectly free market, when demand rises, so does supply. If more people want something, they'll be willing to pay more for it, and more people will swoop in to try and sell it to you, thereby returning the market to equilibrium. Gas, which is refined from crude oil, isn't a free market. It's controlled by these guys. OPEC, or Organization of the Petroleum Exporting Countries, the world's largest oil monopoly. Their member countries, like Saudi Arabia, Venezuela, Iraq, and others, control 44% of the world's oil production and 82% of the world's oil reserves. By forming a collective organization like OPEC, these countries are looking to guarantee that other members don't increase their oil production, or BPD, which would lower the price of oil in the reserves of countries that didn't increase production. In March of 2020, this exact scenario played out in a price war between OPEC member Saudi Arabia and non-affiliated Russia. When Saudi Arabia announced a 2.6 million BPD increase in production, Russia fired back with a 300,000 BPD increase of their own. Meanwhile, global lockdowns continued to lower demand. The result? A 17-year low $20.48 for a barrel of oil. And while both Russia and OPEC countries eventually relented, decreasing production, for a short time oil futures closed at negative $37.63 per barrel. To clarify, a future is a contract that allows traders to buy some asset, in this case oil, at a fixed price in the future. But Wall Street often treats these futures just like stocks, trying to buy futures at a low price and then trade them at a higher one later on. This means that oil futures being purchased at negative $37.63 could be exchanged for $37.63 and a barrel of oil. And while Wall Street investors almost never hold on to these futures long enough to trade them in for the actual commodity, their market speculation showed that on April 20th, 2020, oil was less than useless. Now this might be confusing since I said I'd be discussing how gas got so expensive, but in April 2020, oil was at an all-time low price. What happened in the past year? The short answer is people started driving again, and OPEC didn't adjust production. As lockdowns came to an end, traffic activity returned to its former levels, but OPEC countries have refused to boost production. In the words of President Biden, quote, "The rise in gas prices is a consequence of thus far the refusal of Russia or the OPEC nations to pump more oil." But OPEC's low oil production goes beyond just current profits. Many see it as a message to the Biden administration. While the often blamed shutdown of the Keystone XL pipeline did little to actually affect global output, OPEC countries nevertheless felt threatened by the clear message: America doesn't want to run on oil any longer. And so they've been happy to sit back and reap the profits, which countries like Saudi Arabia then reinvest in renewables to ensure their oil-dependent economy will continue to survive in a post-oil world. Because even the Saudis know that by keeping prices high, they're only temporarily maintaining an economy doomed to fail.